Hello, everyone, and welcome along to Wednesday's edition of Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, the number one tennis betting podcast brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. I'm Nigel Seeley, and as per usual, I'm joined by our senior ATP Tour handicapper for Because We Win. It's Sean Calvert, and this, Sean, is our final podcast before the action starts on the final major of 2023, the US Open in Flushing Meadow. It starts in just days away now. Are you excited?
I am. It's my favorite. I am actually. It's my favorite. I do get excited. I don't know why people
I was going to
say. I do occasionally. Depends what's going on, obviously. Yeah, US Open's my favorite one, but definitely by some distance, actually. Not just because you tend to get slightly more underdog winners there, but I just like the whole vibe of the US Open. It's just the atmosphere, the energy, and it's for me, it's by far the best major. Always has been. I always used to watch it when I first started tennis betting, quite a few years ago now, sort of early 2000s, 20 odd years ago. Used to love just staying up, just watching the night matches and just loving the buzz and the atmosphere. You don't get that at any other major. You know, Wimbledon's a bit sort of staid and quite dull, isn't it? By comparison for me, and the French and Wimbledon, they're too sort of compacted. You can't really move around. It's a bit more space at Flushing Meadows. I just enjoy it. It's my favorite. Yeah, definitely.
You would have seen the scenes last night in the Troitsky, Victor Troitsky getting verbally abused by someone at the crowd. Very vocal, very partisan crowd there in the USA. I just hope that me and you aren't there for a Dan Evans match.
What's this? Sorry, I'm not.
Haven't you seen it? Oh no, Victor Troitsky was there watching a match and he was cheering an opponent and he
what in the qualies last night?
Yeah, it was quite. If you go to the Twitter page and look at the thing, it's quite interesting to watch it.
Oh, is he coaching somebody or something?
I think he's coaching. I'm not 100% sure he's coaching. It was what was the guy Medvedev,
Hamad Medvedev.
Yeah, he was watching his match and he was obviously cheering and someone took offence to him, and it was a confrontation between a fan and him saying that he's in New York and this is not Serbia. It was quite interesting, really. But it was quite. It was the last match.
An American or something?
No, he wasn't. He was playing Gojo, I think. Gojo.
Oh, but Gojo. That's a strange. Why would somebody get annoyed that someone was? You're supposed to cheer for people. It
was very odd, and
I haven't seen that. No,
it wasn't surprised. It was the last match on court, so it was a late game.
Oh, you do get a lot of people that are absolutely hammered by that stage. Certainly on Arthur Ashe. When I went last time I went, which was way back 15 years ago, and again this year actually, I'll be right up in the gods of the Arthur Ashe, and all sorts goes on up there. After sort of 7, 8 o'clock, all bets are off. There's because it's so far away from the court. There's no chance of the players hearing it. It's you've been to Arthur Ashe. It's massive, isn't it? If you're right at the back, the court is like a postage stamp. But there's all sorts going on up there, and it just adds to the flavour.
I was right at the back, and I am right at the back this year. But I tend to go. I've been to 2 matches there, and obviously on 2 days. And I went in the afternoon session. And I found it a little bit more different. Afternoon session.
Oh yeah, it is. But the night session, there's people staggering about all over the place, spilling beer, and you wouldn't get that at Wimbledon, would you?
No.
Yeah, I love it. You either like the US Open or you don't, and I do. So I'm happy with that. Yeah,
I do as well. And we can't wait to go out there. We should have some brilliant content for you on our Instagram account @BecauseWeWin and our Twitter account @BecauseWeWin. And Sean is going into the US Open in hot form. 2 winners last night, an unbelievable couple of winners. Nakashima, 11 successive matches now that he's had a tiebreak, and that cashed at -102. Great tip there from Sean. A great breakdown as well, if you saw it yesterday. And also Kumar, he won the first set at +$3. Won the first set, I think it was +3. Was it 3.8? I can't remember. Was it 3.80?
3.8, I think it was.
Yeah, so 2.8 in the end there. And also he went on to win the match. I know Sean is a perfectionist. I know Sean is someone who doesn't sit there and think to himself, "Oh, I've just bet a $3 winner." He gets a bit frustrated. Are you sitting there this morning thinking, "Why didn't I bet him to win the match at +475?"
I'm not actually. No.
I thought you might have thought that today.
Well, possibly, but I think it was the right bet was to take the first set because, he's obviously a very low ranked player, and Van der Zandschulp has that history of starting slowly. I think he's lost 20. I think he's lost 21 of his last 31 opening sets, Van der Zandschulp. But he certainly has the capability of coming back from a set down against someone like Kumar. That's why I went for the first set. It was just on the basis of Van der Zandschulp not knowing Kumar. I doubt he perhaps would have seen him on video, briefly maybe. And obviously he hasn't played for a long time. I think all the elements were there for Kumar to get off to a strong start, but I wasn't completely convinced that he'd win the match. Obviously he did, but I'm more than happy with the bet that I had. Yeah.
Great bet. You can't question yourself when you bet a $3 winner. And that's what Sean did yesterday. So we've got him heading into the US Open in nice form and plus 6.33 units for 2023. So things are looking good. Let's concentrate on now, though, then here and now. And here and now is the Winston-Salem, the final tournament before the US Open over in North Carolina. And let's look at the outright market before we go on to tomorrow's matches. And Sebastian Korda, he's now $5. We did say at the beginning that 8-1 potentially could be a big price about Sebastian Korda, who is the form horse, or he's not the form horse, but he's the class horse in the field. If he had the form, he'd probably be a lot lower than what he was at the start. But
he probably wouldn't even be playing this tournament if he was in form, I don't think.
Yeah. But he's $5. Borna Coric is $6. Leheka is 8-1. Nakashima is plus 850. Grigspor is plus 850. Purcell 9. Vukic 12. Martin Fuchsovic 16, Laszlo Jerry 16, Michael Moe 18, and our pick. I only got one remaining pick on the outright market. It's Kopfer, who come through yesterday to reach last 16. He's also 18-1. Before we ask about our pick, Kopfer, Korda, I've got 66-1 about him to win the US Open. Do I want him to lose here in the quarterfinals, or do I want him to win this tournament and go in a bit of form and confidence? I'm sort of struggling to think which way I want him to do. Do I want him to get to the semi-finals and get beat, or do I want him to win this tournament and go in thinking, I'm back to my best?
It depends which way you look at it. I mean, I personally would want Korda to win it, or at least sort of make the final, just because I think he's more needing wins than he is needing to conserve energy. He's barely played this season in terms of matches played. He's not been winning. He's not played that many matches. I think he should have easily enough in the tank. He missed the first. After Australia, he missed a few months off with injury, didn't he? Where he was doing a lot of the strength work that I talked about before. I just think he needs these matches. I think if he wins Winston-Salem, I think he's coming in exactly the right frame of mind. I don't think he'll be too tired unless he gets involved in some real epic kind of 7-6 in the third when it's like 36 degrees. If that's the case, that's what you don't want. But if I were you, I'd be wanting Korda to win matches. Yeah.
The other thing I was going to say, I'm not quite sure. What's his current world ranking? Is he in danger of being seeded?
The seeds are already done. So
all right,
whatever it is now,
he's 33 in the world ranking. So I don't know did he get a seed? I'm not quite sure.
I should imagine there's withdrawals in the top 32. There must be. There's bound to be. Well, Nadal isn't playing. Is he still in the top 32? There's one, for example. There's loads that aren't playing. I would imagine he'll be seeded. Yeah.
So he's seeded. So the motivation here, Sebastian Korda at $5 is the favourite. Now we've got one pick left. Dominic Kopfer, he's 18-1. He's up against Leheka. We're going to come on to that match in a little bit. What do you think about his chances to win the tournament?
I think he's got a decent chance. He had a bit of a gimme yesterday against Kirchenheimer. I must admit, didn't know anything about. I watched him a bit yesterday. Ranked outside the top 400 in the world. Even then, Kopfer managed to make a bit of a meal of it. He is an emotional guy. He whacked a couple of balls out the stadium when he didn't win a couple of points that he wanted to win. You do always get that with Kopfer. He's a little bit mentally unstable at times. But I think he's good. Yeah, I think he's good. Well, we'll come on to his match later. It's one of the ones we're going to talk about, isn't it, with Leheka? But I see no reason why he can't make the final. His stats are very, very good. He's shown his physicality in Los Cabos the other week in these very, very strong, hot, humid conditions. So, yeah, for me, I still think he's got every chance, yeah.
And we've got a tickets on him at 40-1. Is that right? Kopfer 40-1. He's now currently 18-1. So if you're holding the 40-1 ticket, stick with it. That's our advice here. Don't be going cashing out. Don't be looking for alternatives. Stick with it at 40-1. Let's have a look at the matches. Now, all these matches are today. This is round 3 here, the last 16 in Winston-Salem, all today. So this is a show that we have to do every morning here in the UK. It goes up live, so online, and we have the matches early evening across in America. So we're going to have a look at the first match here. And the first match we're going to talk about is Borna Coric against Michael Moe. Now, Borna Coric, this match starts at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, that is. Remember, if you head to the BetRivers website, there's about 29 different markets in these matches, and all these matches are streamed live. So whichever on your computer, your tablet, your laptop, whatever you got. It's all streamed live here. So Borna Coric is the heavy favourite. He's minus 220. Michael Moe is plus 175. If you look at the spread, it's 3.5. So 3.5 favourite for Coric, giving up 3.5. He's plus 105. Moe plus 3.5 is minus 134. And the total here is 22.5. Now, Mo beat one of our picks yesterday, Giron, and he played very well, 6-3, 6-4 in that match. They've never met each other before. Coric has had a year full of injuries and a couple of years full of injuries here. Michael Moe is actually playing some decent tennis here. He reached the challenger in Stanford, reached the quarterfinal, come into this tournament, did well at Washington where he reached the last 16. What do you think about this one? Because I think this looks, Coric here, I think minus 220 looks a little bit of a price that I would like to oppose. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think he's far too short. Far too short. I mean, Mo's got a far better record than Coric on outdoor hard at main level in 2023. 67% win rate and 101 service points won, return points won total. Coric, 47% win rate only and 98 total. So Mo reasonably well ahead there. In terms of service, hold, and break totals, Mo 107, Coric 93. So some way ahead. Mo, Coric has not had a great season, impacted once again by injuries. That shoulder issue that I've talked about before, he has to ice it after every match. It's not ideal. Coric wasn't impressive against Hijikata in the last round. 4-1 down he was in the second set, managed to claw it out 7-6. But the form that he's shown, latterly, it's not been great. He's only won back-to-back matches once in 6 tournaments since the French Open. I've also looked at his record when he's been priced in this sort of price range, and when he's been priced between 1.3 and 1.49, that's minus 333 and minus 204. He's lost 5 of his last. I think it's 5 of his last 8. I've got the number missing here, but it's quite a few. He's lost quite a lot of recent matches in this price range. So that would certainly put me off backing him today. As I said, Mo was very decent. He beat Giron in straight sets. He's beaten some very, very good players this season. He beat Hurkacz in Washington, D.C. He's beaten Giron a couple of times now. Beat Shapovalov in Delray Beach, Zverev at the Australian Open, Felix at Wimbledon. So I don't think it would be any real shock if he beat Coric here. As I said, number one seeds. I've said before, number one seeds don't have a particularly great record. Well, they have a poor record here. Only 2 number one seeds have ever made the final in Winston-Salem. So, and this is a number one seed that, I suppose he does need matches, but he's also got to protect that shoulder as well. So I don't think it'd be any huge surprise if Mo won this. I should just say the trends, by the way, in Winston-Salem are quite sort of strong. That there's not many underdogs win in this round. Only 20% have won in this round in the last 5 editions. They tend to win later in the tournament. As I mentioned earlier on in the week, they tend to win quarterfinals, semi-finals, and the final at great rates, 53%, 61%, and 44%. This is a round where you don't get too many underdogs, but the one that I do like today is Mo. I mean, as I said, the stats are quite significantly in favour of Mo, who you think would be motivated playing at home. I would question Coric's motivation with that shoulder injury. I took him at 2.95 plus 195 earlier on this morning. I'm not sure what he is now, Mo.
He's plus 175 currently with Bet Rivers, which still represents value.
Yeah, on the stats that I've mentioned, and on Coric's form, and with the question marks over, his physical condition. Yeah, I'm more than happy to tip it at that price. Yeah.
We are also talking about the physical condition of these players. Lots of withdrawals, as we said in the last couple of weeks. What are the weather forecasts today? Is it what's the conditions like on the court?
It's actually slightly better, I think, in terms of the player's point of view. It's going to be sunny, but not blindingly hot, sort of 28, 29, 27, roughly that sort of temperature, but sunny, not that high humidity. I think the humidity is down about 40. Where are we? 40%. Yeah, humidity is roughly 40%, which isn't too bad. It's the humidity that has been slowing things down a little bit. We might see slightly quicker conditions today with sunshine expected, and the lack of humidity. The courts might play a little bit quicker. That's the current conditions.
So there you have it. Michael Moe, plus 175, was plus 190, now plus 175, but we still believe that plus 175 is the value. Borna Coric, the record of the number one seeds here in this tournament is shocking. And with an injury as well, he's an opposable player here, definitely minus 220. Michael Moe, you might want to look at the handicap as well for a little bit of extra security. It's 3.5 start for Michael Moe in that match as well. Okay, let's move on to the next match, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Brandon Nakashima, the man who cashed for us yesterday with the tie break. Not only did he get 1 tie break, he got 2 tie breaks in his match, 11 consecutive tie breaks. He's up against veteran Richard Gasquet. Nakashima is a heavy favourite here, minus 205. Richard Gasquet is plus 163. Do you think that Gasquet is going to be interested in this match, and do you think that Nakashima can continue his great form? That's the question that Sean's going to answer here. The handicap is 2.5. Nakashima minus 2.5 is minus 165, and the total, not surprisingly, is quite high, 22.5 here with over minus 107. Given the fact the amount of tie breaks that Nakashima plays, the head-to-head is 1-0. It's 1-0 to Nakashima in Florence in 2022. And he won very easy, 6-2, 6-2. On the hard courts this year, it's actually Richard Gasquet has the better record, 9-6. But coming into it, Gasquet's only won once in his last 4 matches, and that was against Hustler in the last round here. So Nakashima, minus 205. Are we going back to that bet again, Sean? Are we going to bet the tiebreak again up against the veteran Richard Gasquet? Can he, especially in the first set, maybe second set? I'm not so sure.
I think I might have gone to the well once too often with Nakashima. I think if you carry on doing it, I think you're going to get burned eventually. And I think Gasquet is not really a guy you would associate with playing a lot of tie breaks. He quite possibly will against Nakashima, as you said. Now played 11 straight matches in a row with a tie break player. You get the feeling that Feast match would have gone to another tie break had Feast not run out of gas in that third set. You know, that could easily have gone to another one because the stats, you know, they're still terrible, really, for Nakashima in terms of return of serve. 2023 at main level on outdoor hard. They've both got the same service points won, return points won total of 101. Nakashima only a 44% win rate, though, compared to Gasquet's 64%. And a lot of Gasquet's good work on outdoor hard this season actually came the week before a major when he won in Auckland ahead of the Australian Open. A little bit fortunate to win the title. Norrie really did choke that away, but even so, Gasquet had to go and win it, and he did win it. So his stats are at least as good as Nakashima's. The other thing from a Gasquet point of view is that he may well have a decent advantage here, having played his previous match a couple of days ago. You know, he had his feet up yesterday. He was probably sitting there with a nice cold drink watching Nakashima play this really tough match against Artur Feast. So Gasquet should have enough in the tank. As I said, he's previously won the week before a major. Slightly off-putting is the fact that Nakashima won so easily in Florence in the match that you mentioned on indoor hard, end of last season. Slightly off-putting that. But again, if you're looking at Nakashima, he's only broken serve 10.6% of the time on outdoor hard in 2023. And these are, you know, dreadful numbers. And again, yesterday, just struggling to break serve until Feast became fatigued. So over 22.5 has cashed in 12 of Nakashima's last 13 matches. So, you know, I'm not going to go with it again today. I think I've done it a few too many times now, but I wouldn't put anybody off the overs here. Around about 1.88, which is minus 114 with Bet Rivers, or it was earlier.
Yeah, it's still minus 114. That's the over 22.5. So a lean from Sean there. The statistics are going to tell you that Nakashima matches, you have to play the overs blind. 22.5 is the line. The tiebreak as well, cashed 11 times. Look for that on the markets. 29 different markets available with Bet Rivers. And I'm going to find you what price the tiebreak is in this match here. Did you look earlier, Sean?
It was roughly evens, but I can't remember exactly what.
So it is currently, it's actually plus 140. A tiebreak in this match. Yeah. Nakashima, Gasquet, plus 140. A tiebreak.
Gasquet element. He doesn't.
But if you're going to get it, you're going to get it in set one. If you're going to get a tiebreak, you'll get it in set one when Gasquet's playing. Compared to the second two, and he gets a little bit tired, I think you might not get it. But over 12,
it's not a bad play at all.
Plus 375 for set one.
Anybody off that? I mean, I've said the stats. You know, he doesn't break serve. You know, less than 11% of the time on hard courts, and it's not as if he's been playing massive servers. This is against anybody. You know, the likes of Kubler and you know all these other guys that he's played. He's not been playing the big servers. It's a viable play, yeah, definitely, for a guy that really does struggle to break serve.
So games are the lean. 22.5 is the overs. First set tiebreak in the match at plus 140. All sort of bets that we think that you should be concentrating on if you have a bet on this Nakashima game. The stats don't lie, and Nakashima matches do produce the overs and do produce the tie breaks. First game on court. It's his first match on court. So Marton Fucsovics against Sebastian Korda, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Sebastian Korda is a heavy favourite here. He was minus 177 with Bet Rivers. He's actually been bet now into minus 205. Fucsovics was plus 143. He's now been out to 163. The handicap here is 2.5. Giving up 2.5. So Korda is minus 132. Fucsovics receiving 2.5 is plus 104. And the total is 22.5. The market loves Sebastian Korda in this match. I need a little bit more convincing about it. Got him beat by Koric in the first round at Cincinnati and Vukic in Toronto. Hasn't convinced me that I'm looking good heading into the US Open. But a good win last night against Bonzi. But Vucevic also had a good win against Zhang. So how do you see this one? I definitely wouldn't be. I don't see the value in the Korda money. I don't see why he's gone from minus 177 to minus 205 on the evidence what I've seen since Queen's Club, where he's only won 2 matches in what 8? No, I wouldn't be betting him at minus $2.
There's no evidence on the stats either. 2023 at main level, away from clay. Fucsovics 68% win rate and a 103 total, service points won and return points won total. Korda 65% win rate and 104 total. So just on that, you can't really see why Korda's so short in price. I know he played well against Bonzi yesterday, but he did most of that on his first serve. He won 82% of his first serve points, Korda, yesterday, only 45% on his second ball, which, he doesn't always serve well, does he, Korda? Sometimes in some of those matches that he has lost, he served really poorly. I think the one against, I think it was Shevchenko, I think he served at about 48% or something. He can have days when he just doesn't serve well. He had a great serving day yesterday. Will he have a great serving day today? Maybe, maybe not. I wouldn't want to be backing him at that price. There's a few interesting stats here. Fucsovics hasn't won back-to-back matches the week before a major since 2020. He's always a player that I think is a bit dodgy before majors. He does have an awful lot of injury problems. Fucsovics always seems to be injured. So he's one that I would always think he might be protecting himself. He did win Geneva one year on the clay. That was quite a few years ago. As I said, he hasn't won back-to-back matches since 2020 in this sort of week, this pre-major week. Certainly had a poor record in Winston-Salem. I think he lost 2 matches here last year. He lost in qualies, got back in as a lucky loser and lost again. But he beat Zhang. He played pretty well against Zhang, but Zhang wasn't fully fit. Zhang had the trainer out for a hamstring injury. In the second set, he wasn't really able to do anything much at all, Zhang. Fucsovics is aware of his record at Winston-Salem. He said after the Zhang match, he said, I want to play well once in my career at Winston-Salem. So whether that'll be this week it remains to be seen. The thing that puts me off Fucsovics, his top level is really good, and it can test the main guys. But when he's been priced up between 2.3 and 2.6, that's plus 130, plus 160 in that sort of price range, he's lost 10 of his last 13 matches. And that doesn't surprise me, because I must have backed him in some of those, because he does flatter to deceive a little bit against the top guys. We know he's got the ability. It's mental with him. When it gets tight, he often drops serve when he's serving to stay in a set at sort of 4-5 or 5-6. You always think he's going to drop serve. That worries me. But the move that you talked about, which I wasn't aware of, for Korda, I'm not, unless someone's seen Fucsovics with injury problems, sort of, in practice on the practice court, someone's perhaps seen him not fully fit. That's a possible reason, but I'm with you. I can't really see any main reason on stats or on form why Korda should be quite as short as he is. My lean here would be overs. I think Fucsovics will be competitive. I just, given his record in this price range, I wouldn't trust him to win it, but over 22.5 at minus 116 would be something I'd think about here.
I think the other thing with Korda is when he wins and wins well, like Bonzi the other night, and he serves well, he looks like a top 5 player, doesn't he? He looks exceptional. And if someone's watching him and thinks, oh, well, this guy can win this tournament easy, and this guy's going to beat him easy. So I can understand why there's a public play from him. But the problem is he's so erratic. He isn't good enough week in and week out. And when he's bad, He's really bad. When he has an off day, like wrestling in the first round at Wimbledon, he was shocking. And I think that's the reason why we can't trust him. But when he has a day, this boy has a day. And you've spoken about him before on this show as a potential, and you still believe he's a potential Grand Slam winner.
I think he has the talent. I think he has the talent for sure.
I'm much more lenient than you in my betting approach. You know, I feel that I just sort of not so, but I've given up hope in him. I've lost more money on him this summer than anybody else, and I don't trust him.
Yeah, so I followed him off a cliff as well.
Yeah, and that's why I think minus 205 is ridiculous, because whatever you see him that time, I mean, I was so confident he'd beat Alcaraz in the semi-finals at Queen's Club. It was unbelievable. I thought this guy's going to. We were sipping champagne.
The way he was playing,
on the winner.
You could see why, but I think it's all mental with him. You know, he does have the ability. He's added the muscle and whatnot now, but I just think that sometimes he just lacks belief in his own ability. I think that's what it is. The amount of times he's thrown away matches as well, close matches against real top players. That's the one thing that lets him down at the moment. He's still relatively young, so he could kind of develop that match hardness, if you like, if you want to call it that. But I think that's what lets him down. I think some days he's on the court, and if it's not flowing, it just isn't flowing. And whether he has that mentality to really battle through the days when he's not playing well, that's the question mark for me.
But that comes as a real big surprise to me, that a player with his upbringing and his family, with his dad obviously a major winner, his mother a tennis player, his two sisters like the best women's golfers in the world, that the mental approach is the problem for him. You would have thought with that family that would, you're going to have the talent, but the fact they're all sports stars, you would have thought that was in him. So it's an interesting one here, but the conclusion here is minus 205 is got a little bit too crazy for us, because however good he looks, he's always got a nightmare the next match. Too inconsistent for us. Talking about money moves, there's been a money move in the next match as well. Before we had the prices, we were minus 215 Lehecka and plus 170 Dominic Kopfer. Lehecka, this might be money for our man. Dominic Kopfer has seen support. He's now plus 170 with Bet Rivers. Lehecka is now minus 190, and that match starts at 4:40 p.m. Eastern time. We've obviously got a cheer here with our Kopfer pick. We want him at 40-1. 3.5 now is the spread. It's Kopfer plus 3.5 is minus 155, and the total again is 22.5. These two have never met before. And really, if you look at their head-to-head record, or so look at their hard court record this season, there's not really much in it, really, on the, not you'll come with the stats, but on their percentage win rate, not really much in it at all. So I'm quite surprised to see Dominic Kopfer initially quoted at plus 170, and I'm not surprised to see the money come for him now into plus 150.
Yeah, I think this is just it could be a price correction. I think they just realised that isn't the right price. It could be anything. It could be anything, really, couldn't it? Again, somebody might have seen Lehecka not hitting very well, or in practice, or whatever, or they just realised that this price is wrong. I mean, Lehecka's only won back-to-back matches in one of his last 9 main level tournaments. That was Wimbledon, where he eventually retired with an injury. Kopfer does have the better stats on outdoor hard this season. 2023 at main level on this surface, Lehecka 62% win rate, service points won, return points won, total of 100. Kopfer, on the plain basis of it, just looking at it straight, Kopfer 78% win rate and a 105 service points won, return points won, total. But you have to say that Kopfer's played a lot of weaker opponents. He's faced opponents that are ranked outside the top 100 6 times in 9 matches. Kirchenheimer was number 416. So I think Kopfer's stats are a little bit artificial, because he has played a lot of lower ranked players. But they're still not to be sniffed at. He's got a better record than Lehecka. That's the bottom line. But as I say, there should be a slight correction. I think Lehecka should certainly be favourite on the basis of what he's done, in recent times, whereas Kopfer's been, injured and he's just coming back to fitness. Hopefully, I think he's at full fitness now. I mean, I think he's certainly got a great chance of winning this match. Lehecka's got a good record against left-handers as well. He's won 70% of his career matches against left-handers, and 5 out of 6 at main level. So he has got a good record against lefties. But I think the style of play that Lehecka plays, it's very attacking. He's going to have to play it well. If he doesn't play it well, then Kopfer could easily win this. Kopfer will make you play ball after ball after ball after ball. And I think Lehecka is going to have to play his best tennis to win this, which we haven't seen his best tennis that often this season, Lehecka. You've seen glimpses of it since Australia. It's been a bit bitty between him. As I say, he's only won back-to-back matches once in his last 9 tournaments. So, and it's not quick out there either. It might play slightly quicker today because of the sun and the lower humidity, but these aren't particularly quick courts at Winston-Salem. The one I was looking at here was, obviously I want Calvert to win, but I was looking at over games again in this one, over 22.5. That was earlier on, it was plus 102. We bet Rivers, not sure what it is now. That's over 22.5 games. I think this will be a battle. I think overs again I don't think either of these two are going to. Calvert certainly isn't going to tap out. That's for sure. Lehecka possibly, if he's not firing, he can go away tamely on occasions if it's not clicking for him. Similarly to Korda, but I think overs is a play here, Lean. Yeah.
Yeah, overs still minus 102 on the 22.5 line is the total there. On the total games in Lehecka against Calvert, 28 different markets with Bet Rivers as well. And remember, the action starts at 2 p.m. Eastern time with Fucsovic against Korda. So we've got a big cheer already on Calvert, so we don't really need to go in again. We want him to win the tournament on at 40-1, but we think this match here could be a long one with the over is the play. This is the part of the show where I always ask people for questions. And unfortunately today, Sean, we haven't got any questions. I don't understand why. I want your questions. So please, we had a question yesterday on YouTube.
Depends what they are.
Yeah, well, I'll ask anything. What hairdresser do we go to was one of the common questions that a lot of people.
That's the easy one for me to answer. Yeah,
I do it myself as well. So the DIY hairdressers that we have here, a lot of questions like that. But we're always open for any questions and any sort of strategy or any thoughts coming into the US Open, because we want you to learn and educate a little bit as well on the betting and try to make some money as well. Just a little bit of an update from some housekeeping for the week. Tomorrow, the draw for the US Open is made. We won't have a show tomorrow, but on Friday, we'll have an outright show. Myself and Sean will do an ATP Tour show, and I'll be joined by Roy Giovanni to do the same on the WTA. So we're looking at the men's and the women's singles, and we'll be giving you a show on that on Friday. And on Saturday, it'll be the first round matches. So we'll have all the first round matches. The best bets from Sean, the best bets from Rory are recorded on Saturday. So there's no question, Sean. So I was trying to think of something to fill the gap. And I like, you're always someone who comes on and you there's always a problem with someone, and is it, or what you say, somebody aggrieved you, someone got but I asked you earlier on, anything sort of annoyed you today? And you said, well, there was one thing today. You said it's a bit boring, but I am quite intrigued to find out what annoyed you today.
Stuff annoys me every day during the school holidays. I have a lot of problems with my boy and getting him to do stuff during the school holidays. That's an ever present in the background. But I've got to go up to London later on after this show, which is lovely. It's a nice night. Yeah. Nice day, sunny day. Go out and have a drink with a couple of friends and stuff I've not seen for a while. But before that, I've got to go down the side of this building. Two things annoy me actually. One,
I knew there'd be more than one. I knew there'd be more.
It's about 33 degrees in here. It's a wooden outbuilding and it's boiling hot today. I can't have the aircon on during this show because it makes an absolute racket. And you wouldn't be able to hear me properly, and it would just be weird. That annoys me. And I've got to go down the side of this building in a minute, and I've got to weed. That kind of what's it call it, like a weed killer stuff. I've got to get this industrial weed killer, set it all up, and I've got to go all the way down the side of this building and around the back, and that's going to take me absolutely ages.
Well, that's the downside of living in a mansion like you do. Making so much money on tennis. That's what happens. Surely you must have a garden.
I was making that much money. Actually, that's another thing that annoys me. Natasha does actually have a gardener. She does. She has a gardener that comes in, but does she do any of the stuff that I need doing? No, she doesn't. She just deals with the wisteria and that at the front and all the hardcore stuff. She doesn't bother with that, so I have to do that. So there you go. That's there you just go. Today.
I knew there'd be there was another thing. Is another thing?
Not for now, no.
Oh, okay.
I might think of one in the next few seconds.
There are 4 ways to follow us here on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. You download the podcast Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. Get us up to charts there. Heading into the US Open in New York, myself and Sean will be over there. I'll be there on Tuesday, and you can follow our adventures on Instagram and our Twitter page @Because We Win. And you can also subscribe. Don't miss a thing. I saw someone saying that they find it hard to find our stuff on YouTube, but it's very easy to find it. You just subscribe, and you get an alert every time it comes. And you can subscribe to the betting Weekly Studios. So the Betting Weekly Studios is our YouTube channel at Because We Win, and you can find it there. All our stuff there. I don't know what I don't want Sean to be just singing a song there, Sean, for you before we go.
What is it?
Keep you happy.
I can't hear it. I can't hear a single thing.
It began.
Oh,
That's the end of the show. I'm going to keep him in a good mood. Begin to knowing. Take care, everyone, and we'll be back on Friday with the draw strong on the first round of the US Open. Take care.